Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is G. You're at Allastrology, and we're going to talk about Mars. We have a Mars retrograde coming up, but what matters is what sign it'll be in and what happens when Mars goes retrograde. Like, what happens when a planet goes retrograde in general. I've talked a lot about retrogrades in the past, so there's lots of other videos you can check out. But in particular, when we understand the energy of the sign that it's in, that it's traveling through, that it's retrograding in, it changes how the energy expresses, right? You know, if you think of like a flashlight, and if you think of how, or even a light in the house or a tool, and how it's got different settings on it, like low, medium, high. Think about it like that, right? And so when a retrograde clicks in, it's like the settings have changed. So we're going to understand better. First of all, by knowing what Mars means. Second of all, by looking at the sign that it's in, because then that will give us additional details, right? And then the degrees, like if you have a chart, right? If you're playing along at home, or if you're following along at home and you have your own chart, you can see where in your life, right? By seeing what house number it's actually in. And when I give the degrees, you'll be able to see, okay, this is going to happen in this house, or no, it's happening in this house, or oh, this spans across two houses. So if you're confused by anything I've said so far, and if you're still with me here, if you're interested in learning that, or you just want clarification, just put something in the comments to me down below, and then I can do something for you. You can get a chart, you can get your chart, and it costs you zero, right? That's just a simple tool that Allastrology participates in so that everybody can follow along, right? So I want to first give you some basics, okay, before we pull that chart up. I know people get, I think they get discouraged when I show the chart, because they're like, hey, I'm new at this. Don't show me a damn chart. Like, I don't know how to read that crap, right? So I'm reading right now from an ephemeris, okay? Anybody can buy an ephemeris, all right? So an ephemeris, this one's about that thick, right? And that has to do with the amount of time it covers. You see how it says it's from 1950 to 2050. It is scientific data. This is not hocus pocus. This isn't, what do they call astrology? A pseudoscience. Like, these are the planetary bodies up in the sky. And this tells you their rate of speed. We know the rate of speed by seeing, okay, at this time and in this date, it was at this location. And then it took this amount of time to move to this new location or degree, however you want to look at it, right? So that's all this is, and it's called an ephemeris. And that's how astrologers are able to understand, okay, this is what's going to happen during this time. And they know that because the different bodies, the celestial bodies, Mars. We know that when we know what Mars means, right? And we're going to go through that in this video. What does Mars mean, just in general? And then what does it mean when it's in a particular sign? So each sign, each planet, and each sign has traits, has characteristics. Planets have personalities, right? And that's really what this is, just understanding the different personalities. So, I'm obviously an astrology geek. I get excited about it, whether I want to or not. So your Mars retrograde, it's going to cover, it begins at, how should I put this? I'll say it like this. Pay attention between 8 and 25 degrees. 8 and 25 degrees of Gemini energy. Yeah, we don't really need to see it looks strange when you don't see the rest of the body, like I'm all head, So between 8 and 25 degrees, that's where the retrograde zone is, okay? So I'm going to give dates as to when this begins, but it's a little bit more complex than that, because it has to first get to the 25 degrees before it can go backwards. 25 degrees is where it literally says, hey, let's slow down, let's stop, and we need to go back and get something. Like, we left something, So think of yourself in a car cruising along on the highway, and you get to a certain location, or you get to a certain town or whatever, and you're like, oh shit, we forgot something, right? Or there was something discussed, or something happened. We'll put it like that. Something happened, because that's Mars. It's action, right? And I'm using the analogy of a car because it's going to be in the sign of Gemini, right? So Mars is cruising along in the sign of Gemini, because Gemini is cars, right? It's traveling, but not airplane travel. It's local travel. And Mars is actions. It's literally your physical body, taking action with your physical body. So it's your body in a car, can be that. But Gemini energy is also talking and thinking, right? It's social media, it's news, right? So it's like what I'm doing right now here on YouTube, right? I'm giving information, I'm sharing information digitally. It's communications. So Mars is taking action, and a lot of its action is going to be online, within the news, social media. So this would be also when we talk about people, the newscasters, but it's also your digital neighbors, and it's also your physical neighbors and peers, people who are like your coworkers or schoolmates, or people who live next door, right? It's people who are in your surroundings. So like where I'm living, my housemates, we're not blood related, but because we all live under the same roof, we're like neighbors, we're peers, we're like siblings. So, yes, also sibling energy. I can't remember if I said that or not. What happens is Mars is the physical body, it's the actions we take with our body. So, it's going to be actions we take with the way we talk and communicate. Mars is known to be a fighter. Right? You guys have heard me say this like 1,000 times. Mars was born with a weapon in each hand. So if Mars has a weapon and if it's got a weapon and it's in the sign of Gemini, which is talking, so that means it could possibly use its voice as a weapon. It could be combative words even. Now, this happens all the time. This is not abnormal. It's normal for Mars to go in a sign and to go retrograde, okay? However, for those of us who live in the States, this is a time where we have important elections coming up, right? People are voting for governors, for cabinet, people are voting for judges, people are voting for who's going to sit in Congress, your senators, so like this is your representatives. But Gemini energy, just knowing that it's about the social media and the news and the newscasters, and that it's Mars, and Mars is taking action, and Mars wants a battle. So it's, this would be someone who is a debater energy, right? When you have Mars and Gemini, people who have it aspected in a good way, meaning it's not going to take it to another level where it's going to take its fighting words and get physical, because we see very easily how that happens, road rage, right? So I have to mention that when I talked about Mars being in Gemini. Okay, because it's cars. And so you got to think, okay, be extra cautious, during a Mars retrograde when Mars is in Gemini. You see somebody flipping you the bird, just keep on going. Don't bother to say words, don't bother to do anything. Just be like, it's Mars retrograde in Gemini. I'm just going to keep on going. We don't need to have a conversation about you flipping me the bird or you pressing on the brakes or whatever the hell, okay? Because it's within your local community. It's not like you got to travel far for this energy. This is stuff happening right where you live. All right. Now, does that mean it's got to be road rage or that it's got to be crazy stuff happening? No, it doesn't have to be that. Each of us has free will, and each of us has our own personal, private astrology chart. There's no two charts the same. I've seen charts of twins and they're different. It's crazy. And why is that? Because twins are rarely pop out of mom at the exact same minute. And in astrology, minutes matter. Minutes matter. So there's major differences within each of us. And because of our amount of free will, and also because of the amount of our soul's power that we exude within each of us, we can rise above our chart. We can live outside our chart. We can bend the energy of our chart. And that's, those are people who are known as metaphysicians, where they can literally live within the boundaries or live beyond the boundaries of the of the astrology of what their chart shows, the inclinations. Let's recap. Mars, born to be a fighter. So if it's in talking, it can be a great debater. It can be combative. A great debater because it's not going to back down, tit for tat type of thing. Gemini energy is very contradictory. So it may at 1 minute say one thing and the next minute it says something else. There's this great duality about Gemini energy. And a lot of folks look at Gemini people or anybody who exudes a lot of strong Gemini energy and they think, okay, that person's full of it. They just said this 5 seconds ago. And now they're saying something completely opposite. And it's not so much about someone trying to be a liar or trying to be deceiving. It's that Gemini is kind of like that owl energy. Okay. And what does an owl do? They, this ability to turn their head, where they almost have like this 360-degree rotation going on. So it's like they have this great perspective. They can see this side and this side. And it's like, whoa, how is that possible? And it explains the contradictory or the contrarian words that you might hear and observe. But just remember, we all have Gemini energy somewhere in our chart, which means we all have it within us. We all have it. So we all exude it in some way, shape, or form in our life, right? Now, Gemini, being the news and the media and social media, so commercials and TV, broadcasters, reporters, Gemini is supposed to be just delivering you the information and the facts. It's not supposed to be, where someone's taking the facts, uh, eating them literally, and then regurgitating them and sharing that with you then after that, meaning they've taken it in, they've digested it, and then what they pop out with and share with you is their perspective, their view of the facts, right? So keep that in mind. It's supposed to be the on the scene reporter who just turns the camera on and the lights are on, right? There's no smoke and screen and mirrors and all any Pisces and crap going on. There's no great show. There's no grand illusion. It's just simply someone turns on a microphone and a camera and you get to watch and then you decide. That's what Gemini is supposed to do. It's supposed to show us the different perspectives. That's its job, and it does it really well. Okay. So when Mars gets there, it can be it can stir things up. It can heat things up. Mars is really active. Mars is fiery, right? It rules the sign of Aries. Remember, I said the fighter and the Marine. Gemini energy is air, right? It's talking and communication. Mars tends to be really fast. It gets a piece of information in Gemini and it just runs with it. So it takes something and it's like, oh, damn. And it just, bam, it may even act upon it really quickly because Mars wants to take action with what it's hearing and with what it's talking about. It wants to be, that's why the words can be combative and almost cutting at times because it's trying to take action with its words, right? Air mixed with fire, what happens? Fire expands, it grows, it can even explode sometimes. So below the video, I'll have all the degrees for those of you who like to pay attention to the degrees in your chart. Again, if you don't know and you want to know, just comment below.